A wife sets her husband on fire in their marital bed while he's asleep. He's drunk, but asleep nonetheless. Was it self-defense? Battered woman syndrome? Was it premeditated murder? I don't know. If you want to know, you better stay tuned. Hi!
Hey!
Hi, guys. Welcome back to our channel, Two Peas in a Crime Pod. This is my mama, Kelly.
What's up? This is my daughter, Courtney. We are on episode 27.
27.
Viewer discretion. If you don't like crime, turn a channel.
Normally, you're like the one that's like, today you're like, turn it off if you're not in the mood. Fuck you. Let's start with that. Yeah, viewer discretion is advised because this is a true crime channel and we talk about crime, which is often violent. So we might talk about murder or assault.
It's violent today.
Oh, it's violent today.
Not really. I don't know. It's scary today. It's disturbing. Disturbing.
Disturbing.
There's a lot of disturbing things.
Also, are my children stomping? Was that my children stomping?
So, I don't know. It could be the elves or...
Knock it off!
That worked.
My kids have their third snow day in a row.
It is -2 degrees.
It's cold and everything is covered in snow. What? Are you okay? We're fine. What are you guys doing? Who's stomping? Yes. No, stop. Who is stomping? Okay, that's probably what I was hearing then.
Sorry, camera.
Close the door. I love you. Close the door.
Your children
They
suck
need to
today.
be in school. These kids need to go back to school. We're all snowed out. They need some enrichment.
Cabin fever.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Don't give you an axe or... Do you know what cabin fever is?
Lizzie Borden up in her
No.
cabin
but
fever.
Nice
like,
guess. Nice
no, I
guess.
was just saying you said axe, so I said Lizzie Borden.
I know.
You're saying cabin fever, like when you go crazy, like stir crazy.
I know, but it's an actual reference to one of my sleep movies.
Yes. The Shining.
Yes, that's the original title.
Was called Cabin Fever?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that was the original title, but it makes perfect sense. All work and no play. Makes me beat these kids. Just kidding. They've been mostly good. Except for right now while they're having a loud conversation.
I don't think it'll come across.
Hopefully it won't come up on the mic.
My last recording, episode 26, I believe it was the au pair case.
Oh, yeah, where I deleted the audio.
She deleted the recording here on the mics, so I have to use the recording on my phone, so it's a little echoey, but I figured out some ways to EQ it, and it sounds a little better than like our first days, but you will notice a difference, and we apologize for that.
I'm deeply sorry, everyone. I airdropped it to Mom, and she was like, got it, and then I was like, sweet, so I deleted it out of the computer, and then I always empty the trash.
And
because I'm very efficient.
I went to go edit it and it wasn't there on my phone. And I was like, Christopher, can you do this for me? And he's like, there's no file here. And there's nothing in the trash. And she was like,
yes, there is, Christopher.
And I called Courtney and she said, oh yeah, I think I deleted it. And I was like, well, it's not even in the trash. And she's like, I always empty the trash after I delete things.
If you don't empty the trash, then the system still has.
It still has it.
Yeah. So
I know. We usually delete the following week after I've edited the videos.
It can only store about 3 at a time, or it runs out of space on in the system. So I was like, oh, I'm ahead of the game. And then she was like, okay, well.
I found out I can't Google search anything on my phone. When it's airdropping, don't touch the phone.
Don't touch it.
That's what Christopher told me. Hands off.
Okay.
And then it should airdrop. It's my fault.
Well, 50-50. I shouldn't have deleted it. There was no reason to. I could have just waited like
You're just
I normally
efficient.
do.
You're just efficient.
I just got ahead of myself with the clicking. Oops. So mostly I'm sorry to Mom because she's the one who has to edit and then had to fuck around and figure out how to EQ off of the audio.
It was not a big deal.
And then I'm sorry to you guys if the audio isn't as high quality as normal. My bad. I learned another lesson. Episode 26, 27 now, and we're still learning lessons.
And we're still changing things and switching it up. So that's all right. Change is good.
Now the dog's barking, and I don't think they'll be able to hear any of it. You guys hopefully can't hear any of this
chaos.
It sounds like crisp and clear and professional to you. To us, there's a fucking circus going on upstairs right now. It's incredibly annoying for me. Everybody shut up.
Well, the au pair video catches all the dishes sounds, and because my phone is right by the stairs and it comes right down the stairs.
Great.
The kitchen is at the top of the stairs. And yeah, the au pair video just has a bunch of other background noise, which is just the household noises. So it is what it is.
And that's a good episode too. Like, what a good case that was.
It was.
I fuck up everything, dude. I ruin everything.
Little Maddie Epen.
I had one job. Well, provided everything goes right today, what's the case today, Mom?
Oh boy. I don't know if you've heard of it. They made it into a movie, and it's Farrah Fawcett, and you said you hadn't seen Farrah Fawcett movies, so you might not have heard of it.
I hadn't seen that other one, don't tell me. I know what it's called. It was the one about Debbie Downs, and
Diane.
It was called Diane Downs. That was it.
Not Debbie Downer.
Debbie Downer is what I was thinking. Diane Downs, who killed her children. That one is called
Small.
I said shut up. I was going to say Tiny Blessings.
Small Sacrifices.
Small Sacrifices. I was so close, dude. Potato, tomato.
You were really close. Anyways, have you heard the story of the burning bed? No. Really? Oh, good.
No.
I got one she hasn't heard of.
Oh, okay.
It's a good one.
Okay.
You haven't heard the story of the burning bed?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
All right. I was grumpy, but now I'm excited.
Oh, look at her. See, now she looks happy. There's a twinkle in her eye. She was looking at me like she was going to stab me there for a minute. So glad she's looking happy.
The diet is sucking. I'm not losing weight, and I'm really, really sticking to it. And it's been 3 days of no change.
She's been on this diet for 7 days, and she lost some weight within the first 4 days.
Water
and now
weight.
Now she's plateaued. Your metabolism still trying to figure out what's going on. Once it adjusts, it'll happen. She's so like, well, I've been on this diet for 5 fucking minutes and I still am fat. So what is even the point? I should just eat what I want. There's no point to this. Just a fucking instant gratification, petulant child.
That's me.
Yes.
I'm going to be this way for 6 months.
This is how smoking was too. Kicking and screaming. But you did it.
Okay. I did do it.
You did it.
I can do this.
You can do this too.
All right. Let's get down to it.
Petulant bitch. All right, let's go.
All right. Let's talk about Francine Hughes.
Francine. Okay.
Francine Hughes was born and raised in Michigan. She came from a working class background and was described as quiet, compliant, and non-confrontational. She had no criminal history whatsoever.
Sorry.
Francine met Mickey Hughes at a very young age, and they married while they were still relatively young.
Okay.
They entered marriage with traditional expectations and a desire for stability and family life. So traditional, I mean, Francine became a stay-at-home mother, and Mickey became an alcoholic who didn't work.
That was such a solid joke. I did not see that coming. coming. That was good. You got me with that one.
That's not even written down.
Oh,
Just came
you're
with that
on
off the
fire
cuff.
today. That was a good one. I absolutely did not see it. I thought you were going to say, and Nikki got a factory job or was working at the Ford plant. Like,
That's what was going to say. That's what's written.
that was good. That was
Thank
a
you.
good joke, Mom.
Thanks. Francine had 3 children with Mickey. Well, abuse began early and escalated over the years.
Traditional.
Throughout their 10-year marriage, Francine's daily life was characterized by constant fear, hypervigilance, emotional exhaustion. The type of abuse included repeated beatings, sexual assault, threats of murder, destruction of household property, and public humiliation.
Okay.
Yeah, Mickey often abused her in front of the children after drinking heavily.
Good.
That's the best time.
Marriage, classic marriage, classic love story.
Well, Francine attempted to maintain normalcy by caring for the kids and maintaining the household. She avoided confrontation just to reduce the violence. So she just went along.
Yeah.
You know?
Making the best of it.
During the course of the 10 years of abuse, Francine repeatedly contacted police, the courts, and family members for help.
Oh, so she wasn't even like suffering in silence. She was reaching out.
She did. Yeah, she wasn't just taking it. I mean, she was taking it, but she was trying to do something about it.
Some people really say nothing.
Right.
And, only those around them usually suspect or might know, but might feel like she told me not to say anything. And
right.
It sounds like she was reaching out.
She did. Yeah, it's not the life she had dreamed for herself, of course.
Right.
She filed complaints and sought intervention. She often left the marriage temporarily multiple times, but he would chase her down. He would bang on the doors of wherever she was at
The usual.
and threaten to kill her if she didn't come back or at least give him the kids. So she would return due to financial dependence. She didn't have a job, fear of retaliation, and lack of, support from the institutions that were out there supposing to help
if
her.
he's just going to come and bang on your door every night or try to break into where you're staying now and no one is helping you, why not just go back home? You're still scared. You're still not going to be sleeping. You're not escaping anything.
Yeah.
You're
that's pretty
actually
much how
more
she saw
scared than
it.
you were before because the situation feels less under control now.
It's when it's most
less
dangerous.
in control.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if nobody's helping you or they're not putting him away or you're not getting a restraining order because he hasn't beat you enough in public yet, you just are like, okay, well, I'm spending money I don't have, or this was only temporary housing anyways, and the time's up and I haven't found a job because I can't sleep. Yeah, what the fuck are you supposed to do?
I know. She did the best she could with what she had. She didn't want the kids to be affected. He'd come over at all hours of the night, banging on the door.
Yeah, he was not giving a fuck
life.
about the kids. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she just did the best she could for her kids.
Yeah.
Basically, police would respond, but just to de-escalate and always leaving without arresting him or any charges being filed or made.
Right.
Once again, this was in the time of police considered it a family affair.
Right.
They didn't intervene in families, in marriages. Francine's internalized belief became that help would not come, escape was temporary, and violence was inevitable. And those are 3 key ideas that she internalized and learned. It just became her life.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I would go a step further to say it's more than an idea. I mean, that was her reality.
Yes.
You know, it was, I say a lot on the show, like, perception is reality. Your perception is your reality.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't even her perception. That was that was it. She was seeing it right for what it was, you know?
Yes.
No one was coming to help her. There wasn't answers. And people will tell you can leave, you can do this, but you really can't if you don't have any capital to start with. And your family doesn't have the means to, like, take you and your 3 children in.
Right. There's not much you can do.
Let alone as an adult woman who you're an adult, you're raising 3 children. So you're like the most adult you can be, right? You're a model to these little children. You don't want to move in and then have your dude come in and banging on your parents' door, your sister's door, or whoever you're staying with, your friend, and disrupting their life too. You feel guilty about that.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much guilt and shame and frustration. It's just, yeah, it's a terrible situation to be in.
So,
I'm a coldie girl.
It is cold. Can I tell you something about this diet?
You feel your hot flashes are better?
Yeah, they're almost like, I don't even think I've had one since I started this diet, honestly.
Well, that's got to be something that you're at least a little bit psyched about.
I am a little psyched about it. I'm freezing right now.
Do you want some blankie?
No, it's my arms. I'll put a
shirt on next time. I'm bumping the mic and it's going because we didn't fix the wire yet. It's not. It's fine.
Okay. I ordered the wire, but the snowstorm we had, all my Amazon is delayed. It was supposed to be here 2 days ago. Now it's saying tomorrow, or no, Friday.
Oh, yeah. The plane probably never even fucking took off that it was supposed to be in to begin with.
Probably. So
what I don't know.
Yep.
I missed a call already. Who's trying to find? Oh, potential spam.
I always like hearing from them.
Potential spam. More like somebody saying that I'm behind on a bill.
They call me too. I know potential spam.
You know potential spam?
Mm-hmm.
Me and potential spam is tight. A little bit obsessed, kind of calling me all the fucking time. Yo, where's our money?
Yeah, I can relate.
Yo, I don't fucking have it.
Should we start a Patreon on here?
You guys want to help me pay my medical bills?
Help us eliminate potential spam from our life.
Let me know in the comments.
So Francine's psychological state, she was displaying classic trauma indicators such as learned helplessness, dissociation, chronic anxiety, and sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
She lived in a continuous threat or threatening environment. And she perceived danger as ongoing, not situational. It to her,
every second felt
dangerous.
Potentially dangerous. Yeah, you're not. It's not like you're suddenly in fight or flight. Like you're living in that.
You never know
that
when
state
it's coming.
That state of mind. Like your little fight or flight switch is just on, and then like someone like busted the thing. It's just on now.
It's and like being at war.
Yes, and
even when the bombs aren't getting you and people aren't shooting at you, you're still feel in
danger.
Endangered.
Yeah. And that does make your perception different. That part does make your perception off from reality because everything does feel like a potential threat, even if it's not.
That's correct.
And you don't know how to not look at something and be like, okay, that's not a big deal. Everything feels like, what do I say all the time? I'm being fucked with.
Yeah.
Like you constantly feel like someone's out to get you. I feel like
I'm being fucked with.
Feel like yes, I say that all the time because I too am living in a constant state of fight or flight.
My poor girl.
Yeah, it's hard to, your first response is always, and then you're like, okay, maybe think about it. Maybe you're okay. But that takes a lot of actual active mental work to do.
It does. And when you're Francine, it doesn't feel true. It doesn't feel like you can say, okay, maybe I'm not in danger right now.
Well, and she's probably getting the shit beat out of her. So she had every right to be like, you know, I don't. I live my life like I'm in a fucking war battle right now, and here I sit, So, she had a little bit more reason to be, she was still in the thick of it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Her judgment was based on prolonged abuse.
Yes. When you have PTSD and you're finally like completely removed from the situation, but you're still freaking out, that's different. She was definitely still in it though. So, a little bit more justified to be fearful and, on edge. But
I'd say so. She grew to believe Mickey would eventually kill her and that there was no safe escape at all. So, Mickey Hughes, honestly, not much was documented about him. Like, I tried to find some regular, he liked Christmas parties type information.
He was a football fan or something.
Yeah,
right?
There just isn't anything on him. I mean, even though he...
Sounds like his whole identity was just terrorizing and chasing his wife.
That's basically what all I came up with. I mean...
His likes included drinking. We know that.
He was a resident of Dansville, Michigan.
Amateur boxing.
He was employed intermittently with a blue-collar working-class background. That's like the only things that I could find that were in any way, shape, or form not horrible. He was known for his volatile temper, extreme jealousy, need for dominance and control. He was frequently described by others as intimidating, explosive, and unpredictable. Basically, he exhibited classic coercive control behaviors. So that would be like monitoring all of Francine's movements, where she was allowed to go, who she was allowed to be with,
which
who
was
she
a lot
was allowed to talk to.
Easier back then, too. Well, easier in some ways, harder in other ways. But like nowadays, you have your phone. You know what I mean? So if I'm like, if I'm very controlling over you, which I kind of am, I'm like, Mom, you're going to download Life 360 and I'm going to be able to know where you're at every second of every day.
Right.
Which I do because you have a dangerous job at times. But, so like, that's a way that in modern days, like I can like have you under my thumb, right? In a relationship.
Yes.
Back then you had landlines, the phone's attached to the fucking wall. And, if I call it, you have 3 rings to answer. Then I know you're at home, don't I? And it's like a little easier to know where you're at and what you're doing, I feel like back then.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he just basically didn't like her to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So really...
Yeah, I'm going to guess they didn't have multiple cars. And
probably not. I don't really know, but I do know that he isolated her from her support systems.
Yeah.
And then continuously threatened to kill her if she sought help or escape.
Yeah.
So.
She whacked him, didn't she?
His alcohol use was interfering with steady work. She whacked him. Is that what you said? Yeah. Sorry, I was reading.
Yes.
Oh, she whacked him.
I'm not pro-murder. I kind of wish... How do I feel? I don't know. If you don't kill these guys, they just keep coming back anyways. I don't know. I kind of wish that there was just like something.
It's difficult because I have a son. I have 2 sons. And if Marissa whacked Clay, that would upset me.
It would, but would you be able to be a reasonable enough person that if it was brought with evidence that Clay had been beating Marissa, stalking Marissa, publicly humiliating her, showing up. She tried to leave. She said, I want to dump you. I don't want to be with you anymore. He went back to her and kept saying, no, you're going to fucking be with me. And this is the way it's going to be. And he had been doing all of these things. I'm not saying that you wouldn't still be sad because ultimately, yes, your son's life was taken. But would you be able to say, I'm really disappointed in my son. No wonder it got to where it got.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Like, I wouldn't raise my son to be that way. I would not.
If we found out that Clay, or if I found out Clay or Christopher was treating their significant other that way,
We would what?
I myself would go and bust their fucking knees. Like,
Right.
I would
It's a
never
different
let,
dynamic.
right. So, and I love my brothers deeply. Clay's my best friend. But if I found out, like, tomorrow, Marissa was like, hey, I never told you, but Clay's been hitting me. I'm about to kick my best friend's ass.
Right.
Because he needs a fucking lesson taught to him. Like,
And
you know what
Mickey's parents were very permissive and turn the other way, look the other way.
Which I feel like
baby
is how
him.
you get there.
Baby him.
Yes.
You know,
By having parents that never made you
not make him accountable.
feel accountable.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So alcohol was interfering with his steady work, and the financial instability was contributing to the overall household stress.
Yeah.
And Francine's economic dependence. How did I finance?
I thought you were trying to say financial, but you just stopped halfway through.
That's what it was.
Financial,
Dependence.
economic dependent.
Francine's economic dependence. Good
Something.
Lord. So they lived in Dansville, Michigan.
Well, she probably was capable of getting a job and holding a job.
She would have been.
But if he won't let her and you're like, oh, good, I'm looking at my children who are like, Mommy, I'm hungry. And I don't know what to fucking tell them. Drink some water.
I mean, if the movie is based on total fact, because I didn't read the book, there was also a book. She sought help from welfare, but they would not give her welfare because at the time the head of the household had to file and he was too proud to file. So, they wouldn't give her help.
So she isn't allowed to go get a job. And then she tries to file to still at least get some resources for herself and her children, mostly her children. I'm going to guess as a mom, she's worried about the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing left. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess we'll just fucking starve to death because you're some sort of controlling proud idiot.
Yeah. That's probably true. She obviously didn't have resources or dependence.
Right.
Or independence, I mean.
Yeah.
So, okay, they lived in a small rural town in Ingham County. It was a modest single-family home in a working-class residential area. The house was the scene of repeated police responses and the location of the ongoing domestic violence. It wasn't a rental complex or like transient housing. The community was quiet and close-knit, and they had limited local domestic violence resources in the 70s. And there was strong cultural pressure to keep family matters private. Not only that,
I'm sure there was.
yeah, but not only that, but the cultural pressure was also that the woman should stand by her man no matter what. And you made your bed.
Oh,
you
yeah,
have to
put
lie
all
in
the
it.
guilt on the woman.
That's exactly what it is.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's your fault if he's beating you, and then you're a piece of shit if you leave.
Yes.
Yes. And let's not forget that at the time, most law enforcement and most lawmakers were old white men who definitely didn't want better laws about abusing your wives to be passed because guess what? They were all also doing.
Mickey was a chronic alcoholic. His drinking episodes were closely linked to the violence. And being intoxicated escalated the severity of the beatings, the sexual assaults against Francine, and the verbal threats. Over the years, the police were called to the home multiple times. The officers would calm Mickey down, but no arrests or charges were made, and they left after just a short intervention. So Mickey learned he could act with impunity because legal consequences were unlikely. And that reinforced his...
Yeah, as long as he was respectful and quiet when the officers got there.
Yep.
Nothing happened. Yeah.
Exactly. And he knew that.
Yeah.
So his relationship with the kids, the children were exposed to all of this. The repeated domestic violence, the verbal abuse. They lived in a fear-based household environment. And then to make matters worse, Mickey used his kids as leverage against Francine or witnesses to intimidate her.
Right.
Right before his death, everything escalated. The drinking worsened. The threats became more explicit. The violence increased in frequency and severity. And Francine reported fear that Mickey was definitely going to kill her. His behavior showed no signs of de-escalation anyways.
Right.
They were still legally married at the time of his death. Francine attempted to leave the marriage multiple times. She temporarily separated from him. She sought legal help. And she tried to live apart from him, but no finalized divorce decree was ever issued. Why not? Well, the factors that were documented at trial were that she had a deep fear of retaliation when she left. And why are you laughing at me?
Because you said the factors, like it was two separate words.
I read and my eyes move at different speeds.
That's my mouth and my brain work on different days sometimes.
Why a divorce did not happen. Well-factored documents at trial. Why am I saying that?
I don't know why. What? I dissociated for a minute. What?
The factors documented. What the fuck?
Drink some more coffee, bitch. Wake up.
Good God.
The factors documented at trial
were that she had fear of retaliation, financial dependence, lack of police protection, and previous escalation of violence after her separation attempts. And in the 70s, divorce offered no automatic physical protection and restraining orders were weak or unenforced anyways.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Hold on 1 second again. Go sit down! It's like they found the squeakiest floorboard and it's like they're just
standing on it.
Going like this. All I can hear, it's like the episode of SpongeBob where he gets the fucking boots and they squeak and Mr. Crab goes fucking insane and eats them. That's how I feel right now. If I hear that fucking floorboard squeak one more time, I'm going to fucking freak out.
Don't eat your children.
Okay. So it was the 70s. Apparently a trial happened because you just said when the trial happened that she said, I was really afraid. I thought I was going to be killed.
Mm-hmm.
And no one was helping me.
Yeah.
The restraining orders did nothing.
I didn't have any money.
Right.
The experts actually testified that leaving often increases danger.
Yes.
And Francine actually believed that a permanent break would be fatal to her. So,
yeah.
About a year before his death, Mickey Hughes was involved in an accident. Not exactly sure of the time frame, but likely in 1976 or a little earlier. The accident occurred well before the March 1977 incident that we're going to talk about. But
Francine was a murder in March.
Francine was living apart from him, but she returned to help care for him. It was a serious
because he got in an accident, so she came home to take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
She should have suffocated him with a pillow.
The return was not
Just
framed.
kidding. Don't suffocate people with pillows. Not endorsing that.
The return was not framed as reconciliation or forgiveness. She made it clear. But the motivating factors included her sense of duty, her concern for her children, how they would see her leaving their dad, you know.
Right.
And, of course, once again, the financial dependence, as well as the social pressure. What would people think of me?
Do we know what kind of accident? Work accident? Car accident? Car accident. Okay.
Yeah. Courts and experts viewed this as caretaking behavior, which is consistent with trauma bonding and learned helplessness, and also highly common in long-term abuse dynamics.
Right, because the prosecution would probably say something to her like, if he was so terrible, explain why you voluntarily went over to take care of him.
Exactly. Yeah. They could frame it any way they want to make it
because
look
I'm not a piece of shit and he's the father of my children and
right.
my husband, and I did feel an obligation to help him when he was down and out. And then, of course, in all of our dumb brains as women, we think maybe if I help him now, he'll finally, like, he'll be like, wow,
He'll be grateful.
she really must care about me because
Maybe I
she's
should
taking
treat her
care of me.
better.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Her caretaking did not stop the abuse. Once Mickey recovered, the violence resumed, his drinking continued, and the control escalated. What you were saying is true. Her actions showed that she tried caretaking, she tried reconciliation, she tried nonviolent solutions. And because of that, it undercuts any claims that she acted suddenly or hadn't exhausted any other options.
Right.
Francine actually was pursuing education throughout the marriage. She was trying to train secretarial and clerical work.
Okay.
Yeah, she sought independence and self-sufficiency when she would separate from him, and she saw schooling as a possible escape route.
Yeah, she was coming up with backup plans. She had shit on the back burner, and like I said, it sounds more like the marriage is what was keeping her down. Not that marriage has to keep you down, but this one
In her
was.
case, right.
And she always had it within her to do better or to make her own money or make her own way. She
Yes.
was, she had self-sufficiency, and she must have been pretty fucking tough. Taking care of 3 kids, getting your
Right.
ass kicked regularly.
Right.
Sounds like a bad bitch to me.
Doesn't she?
Yeah.
She was not pursuing a 4-year degree or advanced professional school. Her educational efforts were practical and career-oriented, just clerical office skills. She wanted to qualify for steady work to support herself and her children independently.
Right.
Well, how do you think Mickey took that?
Oh, yeah, no, I don't want that. He doesn't want her to be able to take care of herself because that would make him feel like less of a man,
Yeah. Even though he wasn't taking care
even
of
though
anybody.
he wasn't taking care of anyways. And even though her being able to support herself and the family and make money has nothing to do with his manhood.
Right. Well, he resented her efforts, viewed independence as a threat, and sabotaged or punished her attempts to better herself continuously. So her attempts were fragmented, continually interrupted, very fragile, and basically the abuse repeatedly derailed her progress. So why that matters is it shows that she was actively trying to leave. She wasn't passive or resigned to what was going on.
Right.
It fits directly into what's called battered women syndrome and coercive control dynamics, which becomes important at court.
Yeah.
And most importantly, it undercuts the myths that she wasn't trying or she had options that she ignored.
Right. Yes, exactly. Although I would, depending on, it's situational. It would depend on your age or the type of abuse or how long it had been going on or your resources, things like that. If you had family to begin with or anything like that. But if a woman never tried any of those things and just sat around getting beat all the time and never came up with an exit strategy and then finally snapped, I wouldn't consider you any less of a battered woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The courts try to make you sound like you're not, like, why didn't you exhaust these efforts? You think it's fucking lost on us women? We look around and we see what Betty next door went through and how bad it got and that nobody gave a shit and then you think we don't see that and think well, why even try?
Too true.
Or if your mom got beat her whole life and you just think, growing up, that's what you saw. And like I said, it's situational. It depends on a lot of things. But if you didn't do it exactly like Francine did it, you're no less a battered woman is what I'm saying.
Well, how many times did she try to get help? The police calls are not documented, of course. Trial testimony and reporting consistently describe numerous calls, repeated, calls, many prior calls. The most credible estimates from the case are at least 5 to 10 police responses that were documented over the 10-year period. So that makes it sound like she only called the police like once a year, maybe once every other year.
I was going to say, but documented just means that it was bad enough that they wrote something down. That doesn't mean it was every time they came out or every time that she called and they didn't come out.
Exactly. And that's because the 70s domestic calls were often logged informally. Many reports were not preserved or consolidated.
Yeah, they just jotted it down on a napkin.
And domestic incidents were frequently resolved without any formal paperwork. So, yeah.
Yeah, the guy just had a tablet and he was on the phone. He's like, right. He's beating you. And then he just put down, like, it's that bitch Francine again. And he, like, held it up to his buddy. Like, yeah, we'll be there in a second. You know?
Yep.
Like,
family members were aware of the abuse. Francine stayed with relatives temporarily, but Mickey would threaten retaliation, so she would return. The pattern was escalated violence after she sought help. So it just got to the point where she didn't want to seek help because the violence was worse.
yeah. And he's doing that on purpose. He's
training
He's
her.
in control of that. He's in control of his violence. It goes to show how much thought he's putting into the effort and the force he's using. I'm going to really beat her ass. I know that I'm going to beat her within an inch of her life.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she gets back home, if she upsets me, I might just smack her. And she'll know, well, the beating within an inch of my life was a lot worse than just the smack, so I'll just stay.
Right.
You know, it shows how much thought he's putting into what he's doing as well. It's not just some fucking mindless zombie.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
He's calculated.
It matters because it shows that this was not one call, one failed attempt, one ignored warning. This was years of repeated help seeking and multiple system failures.
Right.
Yes, multiple people actually witnessed or directly knew about the abuse, but not always at the exact moment it occurred, especially the children. They were present. They saw the assault and heard the threats, and they witnessed the property destruction and intimidation. Their exposure was acknowledged during trial testimony and psychological evaluations, but they did not go on the stand.
So they just had medical professionals speak to them and then speak on their behalf.
Exactly.
But they must have been, they were together for 10 years. They at least had to have, or not at least, but the oldest they could have is a 10-year-old.
Right.
You know, at 10, 9, 8, if they did bam, bam, bam. And, you know, I don't think you said the children's ages, but,
no,
that's still
private.
very young.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that it was more like 9, 7, 5 or something. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that. Like, so.
Yes.
Especially if she had been getting beaten, it sounds like it would be harder to be pregnant. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I have no idea, but the oldest it could have been from what you said is that wasn't like she got pregnant, so they got married. They met when they were young, they got married, and they wanted to have a traditional family. So the oldest kid could only be 10 then. So
it actually might have been beneficial to her to be pregnant.
Because he might have.
He liked her pregnant, barefoot, at home. Anything that kept her from...
You're more controllable when you're pregnant.
Yeah, and he didn't abuse the kids. He never laid a finger on any of the kids, which...
Not yet.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what Francine was thinking. You know...
Well, the kids are still at that age, they're still very controllable.
That's true.
They're easily controllable.
Francine's relatives, of course, knew, and they saw the injuries, and they occasionally witnessed him pounding on the doors when they provided the shelter at times. They did encourage her to leave, but they couldn't provide any permanent protection or.
Right. Get out and go where? I don't know. Just get out. Go be homeless with your kids.
Yeah. And then there were friends and neighbors, and they observed bruises and injuries, heard, disturbances at the house when there was yelling, and police officers responding saw Francine's injuries.
It makes me sad when I think that like none of the neighbors or friends helped, but then I immediately was like, Courtney, what if your next door neighbor? What if you knew she was getting beat by her husband? And maybe she even ran over one day and said, will you help me? Let alone if she never did. Would you go over and say, my house is a safe place where you can come over, knowing that this person is violent, knowing what happens when someone else tries to gain control of that situation and what that does to the man, makes his violence escalate? Would you put your family at risk then, having him come over and beat on your fucking house?
No, yeah.
Like, if I lived alone, if I didn't have kids, yeah, I probably would.
You probably would.
I probably would. I'd probably just ask Dad for a couple of his guns and I'd pull some big dog dude shit, and I would sit in my front yard with the chair facing his house and just rack the fucking shotgun. You know what I mean? Like, try it,
Yeah.
But the dynamic does change because I have children who I worry about protecting, and inviting potential danger into my life is, I really have to, like, it would have to be you. Like, it's my mother is to the level of I'm going to. Like,
right.
Just the rando neighbor.
Probably not going to get involved.
I don't know if I could. Yeah. And that's sad, isn't it?
No, you can't. Yeah. It just...
I
is
think
what it is.
I think maybe I would go to the guy next to me is just a single guy who lives alone. And maybe I'd go to him and be like, hey, would you help her if you're unaware? Like, at least resources. But back then, especially, you didn't get involved.
Nope.
And even still today, there's an awkwardness because what do you say? Like, blink twice if you're in danger. Like,
right.
What, it's embarrassing for them. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a weird situation to navigate even still.
It is.
If somebody comes to you, it's less awkward. Like if somebody's like, hey, my husband's beating me, I need help. I think that kind of a stigma is gone. Like, okay, like let's see what we can do. But when something's going on next door, but she hasn't said anything yet, it's still weird. Mm-hmm. It's still weird to be like, next time I see her carrying groceries in, should I run over and be like, hey, just so you know, if you're ever in danger, you could come over and like, what do you say?
Yeah, it's awkward. It is.
I don't know. But back then it was even more taboo than now. So.
Oh, for sure.
Because I wanted to be like, God damn, why didn't the neighbors, it says that they didn't live in like apartments or shitty place. It was a nice neighborhood. It was close knit. So people fucking knew they're the only ones that the fucking cops keep coming to. Mm-hmm. They knew, but it's not their fault. What can you do? Yeah.
It's not your business.
Yeah.
Yep. Not your problem. Well, police also witnessed Mickey's drunkenness and aggression, as well as medical professionals that had documented injuries consistent with abuse on Francine.
Right.
And then mental health experts testified to long-term trauma effects, and that corroborated Francine's account of repeated violence. So lots of witnesses.
I was going to say, it sounds like she has a lot of witnesses to help her case. That's good.
Yes.
I mean, it's sad, but for the justice system, it's good.
Exactly. So it mattered because the defense was emphasizing that abuse was known. It wasn't alleged. It really was known.
When she said, I had no other option, no other choice. This is what we mean. These are all the things that she tried.
Yes. Francine's claims were corroborated by the children, the family, the police response history. Basically, it undercut any prosecution narrative of a sudden, unprovoked act.
Right.
So, let's go to the morning and afternoon of March 8th, 1977.
Okay.
Francine Hughes goes about her normal household routine of caring for the 3 kids. No indication of any police presence earlier that day. The household tension, though, was very present from ongoing abuse. Mickey was drinking, and arguments began inside the house, which is typical. The pattern was consistent with his prior abuse cycles: drinking, then arguments, then violence. It's basically how it would go. Just another typical day in the neighborhood.
Yep.
So that evening, Mickey physically assaulted Francine, and the assault included severe beating, sexual assault, and verbal threats. He explicitly threatened to kill Francine. Then after the assault, he continued drinking until he eventually passed out. He fell asleep in their bed, and Francine was injured, traumatized, and emotionally and psychologically overwhelmed at that time.
Yeah, I get overstimulated when this floorboard is squeaking. So I think she had every reason to be overstimulated.
Basically, from the expert testimony, Francine entered a dissociative, psychologically collapsed state. She wasn't thinking the way that you would, like with chess moves or, 3 steps ahead, or, it was just like, what is this right now? What is happening?
Yeah.
And experts later testified she believed her death was imminent. She did not believe police or courts could protect her, and she perceived no safe escape. And a key point is that the threat was perceived as ongoing, not paused just because Mickey was asleep.
Yeah, because at some point she's going to have to fall asleep and he's probably going to wake up.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, it's stopped. It's this is ongoing abuse. It's just going to continue.
Yeah. And I finally thought through a thought that I started earlier when you just said, when you were explaining like her rationale for like why she felt like she had to kill him. And earlier I was like, I don't want to condone murder. Like I don't want somebody to get murdered. What I want is for the justice system to work.
Yeah.
And if the justice system is going to fail, then we're going to have to fucking murder you guys. So think about it. If he would have been incarcerated, or he would have known if the cops show up more than 3 times about this, like, you're going away.
Yeah.
Or like he had been held accountable for making mistakes and for assaulting and brutalizing anyone, let alone his wife. If he had ever been held accountable or told by someone else, like, you can't fucking do that, and then that person like stopped him from doing that, it never would have got there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So if the system worked, and by system I mean the justice system, but even just as a community, if like the male neighbors had come over and been like, if we hear screaming from here one more time, we're gonna bust in and we're gonna drag you the fuck out. If there was a system that protected us from violence, these women never would have. Otherwise, the first time he punched her, she'd have shot him in the face or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, how long did this go on for?
10 years.
She's not a violent person. That's not who she is. You know what I mean?
Right.
This one act that she did doesn't define like her character. He was a violent person. He had many acts that defined his character,
and never had to sit through a trial or.
Right. So I guess when I say like, I don't condone murder, I don't. But if you've been left no other option, yeah, I do condone protecting your own life. Yeah, you best believe that I don't believe in violence. I don't believe in murder. I think that you can talk through things. But if you break into my house tonight and try to hurt me or my children, I will fucking kill you, and I won't bat an eye, and I will go right back to sleep and sleep just fine.
Right.
My karma's intact. I'm good. Like, being nonviolent doesn't mean that I will not resort to violence, you know? So
right.
I think that that's the point that I was trying to make earlier when I was like, I'm not saying that I wish she killed him, like, good for her. But I'm saying, like, well, she did what she had to do. So I'm not upset with her. Yeah.
Yeah. Great points. All right. So next, Francine checked on all 3 kids and she ensured that they were out of immediate danger. They were taken safely outside the house. And this step is actually emphasized in court as a deliberate protection of the kids, which is not impulsive rage behavior.
Right. It wasn't like she was completely out of sorts. Like, she was present enough to be like, well, I don't want the kids to get hurt, but I have to.
Her actions
in order
were
to
not
protect
out of
myself.
rage.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because otherwise she wouldn't have thought of the kids.
Right.
If it was that impulsive. So Francine got the gasoline can. I know it's terrible that I'm laughing. It is so terrible. We're bad.
I don't know that we're bad.
But he forced this on himself.
I just feel like
she got a gasoline can. Of all the things she could have done.
A woman after my own heart. Do you know how many times I've been in a rage like, I'm gonna fucking burn it down. I'll light it on fucking fire. Like, I don't know, but there is something about when you've been abused or you feel that something so unjust has happened to you. There is like that flames on the sides of my face from Clue. It is like that though. It's just like, it feels like you're on fire. It feels like you're on fire and everything around you's on fire and your mind is on fire and you're just like, so the fucking liberty, justice, balance scales are like, I'm going to set this on fire then.
I need to get in touch with my anger. I have never experienced that.
You've never experienced that?
No.
Oh, I have absolutely experienced being like, I'm going to burn that person's house down.
No. Wow.
I never would.
No, I know that.
I'm not fucking crazy, but
of course.
I definitely have felt like when you're in like that red zone and you're in a rage and you're feeling triggered. It is fight or flight. Like,
okay.
It is a triggered state and you have to.
I can't say I've never felt it. I did that one incident, the Christmas incident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, literally like, I will burn this motherfucker down.
Yeah. Okay. I gotcha.
That's where we're at. You know what I mean? There's something, I don't know. I can't explain, but it seems proportionate.
It does.
And when you're in that state, it seems like I'm being as fair as I could be. What do you mean? Like, and it's not rational. Obviously it's not rational. And yeah, if you've been traumatized enough that you're not,
he just beat her and then he raped her.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
That's where she was at, and her kids are right there in the other room.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like in her mind, she was like, an eye for an eye. I don't what do you mean? Like, yeah, no, but if you are so traumatized that you don't even know that you're in a triggered state, then you actually do light something on fire for someone. Like,
she poured the gasoline all around the bed where Mickey was asleep. And then she closed the bedroom door. The house was otherwise quiet. Then she lit the gasoline trail and the fire spread rapidly into the bedroom. Mickey Hughes was unconscious and he did not wake up to escape. His cause of death was smoke inhalation.
I was going to say
fire. It also says fire-related injuries. So he probably had burnt lungs as well, besides smoke inhalation.
I'm sure at some point he might have briefly woke up or was still alive even to be close to the flames and the heat. You know what I mean?
Don't you just hope so?
But yeah, mostly if you're just passed out and you're breathing in smoke and you don't realize it, and if you're drunk and you're passed out and you're not as present as normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, afterwards, Francine didn't flee. The emergency response was initiated and the fire department came. Mickey was pronounced dead after they put the fire out, and Francine was taken into custody immediately.
She was just sitting on the lawn.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do feel bad for the kids.
I know.
That the kids were there and they had to know, like, where's dad? You know what I mean? I guess in any situation, even if it had been even if it had been like a single gunshot wound, like he was dead instantly, the kids didn't even necessarily know. Eventually they're going to know, right? Like, where the fuck did dad go? Like, one way or another, they were going to learn that they lost their dad because their mom killed them.
Mm-hmm.
But if they were that aware of the abuse, maybe they'll be able to rationalize it. I don't know. Like, maybe they're like, yeah, I used to beat the fuck out of her. Like, no wonder she did that, you know, but I don't know. I don't know how that those kids would possibly feel, but
It would be hard.
I think that it would be a little more traumatizing for them to be sitting on the front lawn knowing that their dad's burning in that building right in front of them. Like,
yeah,
I think that's, in the past when I've wanted to burn things down, the kids would be nowhere around. They wouldn't be near it. But
right.
I think that it does go to show that she wasn't in a good place, because if all those other times her instincts had been to protect the kids.
Well, she could have been thinking, look at all the things that they witnessed him do to me. Let them witness me do this back.
Yeah.
Let them witness me stand up for myself for a change.
Or, I don't know.
In a weird way of thinking.
Maybe the kids didn't like the dad and they had always been saying, like, Mom, why don't we leave? Like, Daddy's mean and scary. And she thought, like, they wouldn't even care.
Very possible.
I don't know. Maybe he was great to them and he created that good guy, bad guy parent situation, and they loved and doted on their dad. And she was like,
it's hard to say.
I have no idea. You know, it's hard to say, but
nobody reported that he was a great father, just that he didn't beat the kids.
Yeah. And it's not lost on kids when mom's covered in bruises, let alone if they're just witnessing it firsthand. But
yeah.
Kids are not dumb. You know, kids know what's going on. But that doesn't make it any easier of a situation for them to deal with.
No.
It sounds like their life was going to be hard for a while, no matter what. The situation they were in was not great either.
That's true. No. They could have been without a mother or without a father.
Yeah. And
if they were without a mother, they'd be stuck with him as a father.
I was going to say, if he had killed her, that'd be worse. So I don't know. It's I think the fire was a bit much because regular families who have no domestic violence issues who lose their home to a fire go through trauma and a PTSD from being suddenly homeless and losing all of their personal possessions and the things that we learn are important to us, and then to go without them. It's a first world kind of a thing, but nevertheless, it's psychologically damaging, you know? So I don't think they needed that. I wish she would have just fucking choked him out in the night. You know what I mean?
She's like a can of gas.
Yeah. She was like, nope, you gonna learn today. I'm not saying I don't get it, but she was
like, fuck all this.
Yeah. If it was just her and him,
it's all bad. You know,
light the match and just fucking toss it in. But yeah.
While there was no resistance by Francine and no attempt to deny anything, she freely admitted to setting the fire right then and there. They charged her with first-degree murder, which meant life imprisonment if convicted. So the defense's strategy was to introduce the battered women syndrome. That was the first time this was introduced in court.
Okay.
Expert psychiatric testimony explained what long-term abuse alters perception of danger and how victims experience learned helplessness. Basically saying that Francine acted under psychological breakdown Her actions were survival-based, not premeditated malice.
Right.
There's a big difference. So what is battered syndrome? Basically, it's a psychological condition, or battered woman syndrome. It's identified in victims of prolonged, repeated, intimate partner abuse. It was first recognized clinically in the 70s and used in court to explain a victim's mental state, not to excuse violence automatically.
Right.
It is not a medical disease or a permanent mental illness. It's not a claim that all abuse victims will kill, and it's not an automatic legal defense, and not about one argument or one beating.
Right.
The core features, there's several core features. The first one is the cycle of violence, it has to be there. It's the tension building phase. That's where things like verbal abuse, intimidation, and threats start. Then you get the acute violent phase, and that's including physical and sexual violence. Then the honeymoon phase, which is exactly what it sounds like.
Apologizing, I'll never do that again, love bombing, doting.
All of that, and temporary calm.
Yes.
And then the cycle just repeats and escalates. Then the second core feature is the learned helplessness. That's where the victim attempts to escape and seek help repeatedly, but help fails or increases the danger. So the victim learns that resistance worsens abuse and outside systems will not protect them, which results in passivity, compliance, and survival-based decision-making. Instead of what would be best, it's just what would be best for my life.
Yeah.
In order for me to stay alive.
Well, what would be best for your life is leaving, right? And when you tried to leave and that didn't work, now you have a new bar. Now you have a new level. Like, oh, okay, well, I'll set it down here then.
Yes.
You know, now there's no more 5-year plan. Now it's just like surviving every 5 minutes. Like,
yes, that's right. So then the third core is altered perception of threats. So the victim does not assess danger like an outsider would. For instance,
this is what I was talking about earlier.
He's asleep in the bed. What danger are you in?
Right.
And the threat is perceived as continuous, inevitable, and inescapable, regardless of whether the abuser is present or sleeping. Doesn't matter.
No, especially if you know you can't overpower. Like, a fight is going to happen. An end-all cage match is going to happen at some point. It's going to be you or it's going to be me, is how it feels.
Mm-hmm.
And you're much stronger than me. And so it would be like if you're running a race and I'm running against like Usain Bolt, I need a 20-second head start, okay? Because he's the fastest guy out there, right? So she's like, okay, well, I'm going to start while he's asleep because he's going to overpower me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to win. Yeah, you know what I mean?
This is the only chance I got.
Yeah.
It's my only chance. Well, then the fourth core is hypervigilance. The victim's constantly scanning for danger, reads the subtle cues that other people miss, such as tone changes, body language, and drinking patterns. Victims can often predict violence very accurately before it's going to occur.
Worse. It makes it worse when you're like, oh, at the rate that he's drinking and at the, like, can you imagine? And you're like, okay, so I've been living this life for 10 years now. I'm going to be getting my ass beat within the next hour and 30 minutes.
Right. And then he'll rape me.
Yep. And like,
it's coming.
Yeah.
Boy, how sad that is.
Yeah.
So there's a psychological captivity that happens where the victim feels trapped, controlled, and owned by the other person. This makes leaving be perceived as more dangerous than staying. And it's a trigger. Leaving would be a trigger for lethal retaliation. In other words, you're going to die if you leave.
Yeah.
That's part of battered women syndrome. So why it matters legally? Because traditional self-defense law requires immediate threat and proportional response.
Yes.
But battered women syndrome.
Because if it was just like you guys got in an argument for the first time in 10 years and he falls asleep and you light the bed on fire, that's obviously not proportionate or appropriate. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But when you consider when you have to take it up to 50,000 feet, you have to look at like the whole thing, and you have to say, he was asleep, but what she knew and what had been demonstrated and what was factual and what can be documented is that as soon as he woke up, he was going to be beating her again. And no, she couldn't have just left, because he would have just gone to where she was and beat her there.
As history has shown.
Yes. Like he might have as well have been wide awake, with a knife.
Yeah.
Coming at her.
It's the same as.
Like, it's trying to get the jury. It's trying to get the jury to see, like, it wasn't just this nice, peaceful man who fell asleep in his bed at home and then was murdered. Like, you have to understand that in her eyes, he might as well have been at the sixth punch in right in her head, you know? And she had to save her own life.
Yeah.
But getting a jury to see that is hard, because ultimately there is no way around when the prosecution says, but he was dead asleep, right? And you have to say, yeah. The visual you're getting is of a man who absolutely could not defend himself getting caught on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So painting that image for a jury, especially back then, was very challenging.
It was. Definitely. They had to learn why victims may act outside of the moment of attack. In other words, we could understand if you had, stabbed or killed him while he was attacking you. Right. That's self-defense.
While he was punching you, you broke away to go get a knife and then ran back in and stabbed it. Like, yes.
But they had to learn why waiting for imminence can mean death. So, in other words, I can't wait to be able to defend myself while he's choking me out.
Yes, because first of all, I couldn't get him off of me. And second of all, from what I've learned in the past is that if I just lay there and cry and cower, he'll stop.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go into like a survival mode. You know what I mean? And
yeah. So the courts now had to consider the long-term abuse, the failed help attempts, and the victim's actual psychological state. That was introduced through a lot of expert testimony, and it helped the jury understand the victim's mindset and why the options felt unavailable. But it does not guarantee acquittal or replace legal standards, and it's often paired with a temporary insanity defense and imperfect self-defense claims.
Yeah.
Well, the common misunderstandings about battered women syndrome is, why didn't she just leave?
Right.
Leaving is statistically the most dangerous time, and the victim knows it. Why didn't she call police again?
What fucking good would that have done?
Yeah, they're not doing anything. Why didn't she wait until he attacked her again? Many victims are killed for waiting while they wait. Many victims can't overpower their attacker if you're being attacked.
Quite honestly, if he's coming at you to attack you and you pull out a knife, you're still probably going to fucking lose.
You're probably going to die right then.
Unless you're real strong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you better make sure you stabbed him in the front and not the back, or they're going to say that it wasn't self-defense. You snuck up behind him and stabbed it. It's never perfect. Like,
yeah. Well,
or they're going to say, why did you have a knife under your mattress? You premeditate, like you planned it. You know what I mean? Like, fuck off.
True.
You're always going to say that she was the one who was wrong and not him.
Well, this was a groundbreaking case because it shifted focus from why did she do it to what was done to her.
Yeah.
And forced courts to recognize psychological, abuse and understand violence as cumulative. So it changed how domestic violence cases are evaluated. The key concept is being the danger never felt over, even when Mickey slept.
Right.
The prosecution's argument was that Mickey was asleep at the time of the death. The fire was deliberately set. No immediate physical threat was happening at that moment. It was framed as premeditated homicide. During the trial, Francine did not portray herself as a hero or a vigilante. She basically appeared withdrawn, emotionally flat, and remorseful. And the psychiatric evaluations found that she was suffering from temporary break from reality and a severe trauma response.
Yeah, you have to remember, she wasn't a violent person. She was a non-violent person.
Mm-hmm.
When a person who doesn't like to provoke arguments or be violent, or a person who is just trying to maintain the peace and like stay pretty chill, and that's who they are at their core, when they can do something that is so against who they are at their core, that's deeply devastating to like that breaks your core, that rocks your whole core.
It did too. Yeah.
You don't feel good about it. You're not like, thank God he's gone. I mean, a part of you was like, I'm safe finally.
Mm-hmm.
But another part of you was like, where the fuck was anybody else?
Yeah.
Where's the justice in that? I had to go against who I am as a fucking person.
Yeah,
we
where
have
is the
laws that say
justice?
that you're not allowed to beat and rape people. We have laws that say that.
Mm-hmm. Why am I not?
Right. And I had to do something that I'm so fucking against and take my children's father from them. And
Yeah.
yeah, no, you're not left feeling like receiving high fives, like.
Well, while the trial was going on, Francine became an unwilling symbol for battered women nationwide. She was getting letters. People were in support of her big time.
Oh, I'm sure they were.
In a legal context that's important, her failure to divorce was not viewed as consent to abuse. The court accepted that she tried to escape. Systems repeatedly failed her, and remaining married did not equal safety or choice.
Yeah.
So, because they're trying to say, well,
she should have just divorced him.
You stayed.
First of all, that doesn't mean that the violence will stop. LOL. Second of all, choosing to stay married marriage has never meant that you should get beat up or assaulted.
Right.
It's never meant that. It's often happened, but that's never what it was supposed to mean. You're supposed to honor one another, right? And love and take care of one another. So
yep.
Choosing to stay marriage never means that you're accepting the abuse. It means that
she just had no choices at this point.
Yeah.
She didn't have options. And
if you hate her so bad and you need to beat on her all the time because she's so worthless and she's so bad and she's such a dumb bitch and this and that you feel the need to hit her, why didn't you leave?
Yeah.
What, doesn't it get exhausting having to beat this dumb bitch who never fucking listens and can't do what she's fucking told?
Yeah.
Couldn't you go find a bitch that's better?
Nope, not for him.
Like what? I don't either. I just don't get
I know.
You can't rationalize it. Like you.
No, you can't. So the jury found her not guilty by reason of temporary insanity. Yay.
Good.
Francine Hughes was committed, though, even though she was not guilty, to a state psychiatric hospital after the verdict.
Of course.
That was just for approximately 90 days because she needed a psychiatric evaluation. She needed stabilization.
She was mentally unstable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they wanted to determine any ongoing risk. So the doctors concluded she was not a continuing danger and her psychological break was situational and resolved. After evaluation, she was released with no long-term institutionalization and no prison sentence.
Ashes to ashes.
Yep. Afterwards, she did make a deliberate choice to change her name and leave public view. She wanted to protect her and her children's privacy. So she did not like become a public activist or go on speaking tours.
And we've talked about that before, that like, if that brings you peace afterwards, like, I'm all for it. And I'm so proud of you. But if you choose to never fucking talk about it again and like literally close that book and start a whole new one, also good for you.
Yeah. Either or whatever.
You don't need to be a fucking advocate. You didn't choose to get abused all those years, and now you have to, like, your only fucking option in life is to like find solace in like helping other women who are getting the shit beat out of them. No, I don't think that becomes your job.
Yeah, it doesn't have to. It's for some people. Like Ashley Judd, she is very much an activist. But it's not for everybody.
No, like I said, it's completely your choice.
Yes. So she lived a very quiet, private life that focused on recovery, parenting, and anonymity.
The life she always wanted.
Yeah.
A normal, quiet, fucking normal, boring life.
Well, that case received national media attention, and it sparked debate on the domestic violence situations, self-defense, and psychological captivity. It also helped legitimize battered women syndrome in U.S. courts.
Yeah.
And it influenced future domestic abuse defense cases. The case was adapted into a book called The Burning Bed, and then a 1984 TV movie called The Burning Bed, starring Farrah Fawcett. That's actually on Prime.
It on YouTube?
It's on Prime. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to watch it later.
I think I bought it. It's in my list. The film Impact was a massive TV audience, and then that produced increased domestic violence hotline calls after that.
Can you just imagine, like, women, men and women that were in domestic violence situations, and that movie comes on,
she's looking at him with a lighter.
She's just sitting there like this, and he's like looking over, and this woman's pouring gasoline on the bed, and the wife is just like,
oh my God, that's hilarious.
Oh, she didn't serve jail time. Oh, they let her go. Not guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah, think twice.
Yeah.
It only takes burning one motherfucker.
Yep. So that's why it's called the Burning Bed case.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's become I'm surprised you hadn't heard of it, because it is become, well, for anybody that's seen it in the 80s, it's symbolic of battered women syndrome and what can happen.
Well, and I'm well aware that still today, it's completely argued, and they still try to shoot it down, you know, if anybody uses that defense. I know it had to start somewhere. I know it was legitimized somewhere, but I didn't know that was the exact case, so...
It's a good case, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a conclusion of today's case.
Light your ass up.
Please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting. Get notifications if we have our, podcast, our episodes go out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Except for I forgot to release Tuesdays because I have brain fog, but it'll be out there Tuesdays.
That's okay. We had comments like, hey... Where's your video? You guys gonna upload a video today? Mom was like, oh shit, hey, thanks for reminding me. Right.
Oops. I didn't release it on anything. I went to go, well, here's what I did. I have a little notice to myself you can't schedule it on Apple. I have to publish it manually.
Okay.
So you can schedule it on Spotify and you can schedule it on YouTube. So I get on Apple to publish it, and it's not even there to be published. And I'm like, what did I do? And that's when I go to YouTube, and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to even
set it up,
schedule it. And then I have to extract the soundtrack,
extrapolate to
turn it into an Apple podcast. And yeah, there's all these steps I have to do. And I was like, shit, I didn't do anything. I thought I was all caught up.
We're never caught up.
Yeah. But, well, that's all for today.
We had our first hater.
Oh, we did.
We had our first hater. Somebody commented something. Sam. I believe his name was Sam.
I think so.
Steve. It was an S, a generic male S name.
He said
something like
so unlistenable.
so unlistenable.
Something like that.
Oh, thank you for taking the time to comment.
I was like, oh,
thank you. It means so much to us when people comment. Yeah, you actually you took the time, and
yeah,
I love it so much. Thank you for watching, even if you hated it.
I laughed
and letting us know.
It was hilarious. No, actually, what happened was I considered committing suicide, and I thought I'm just taking the whole podcast down because
I was gonna cut out my fucking
10,000 subscribers
and one unlistenable comment.
By the way, we are so close to 10,000 subscribers.
We are very close.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen like within a day. It's going to be 10,000. I'm so excited.
We'll have to set off like real fireworks.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Not, oh my gosh.
You remember how bad the party poppers went?
Can't even set off the party
something
poppers.
on fire.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, shit. Okay, Mama. Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.